Welcome to Surfside Stories. Today in the studio, I am so proud and so happy to have the poster guy about working in beach music, working together, and working to make beach music a good thing for a long time. This man has been in it so long, I do not know all of his stories. And that's the reason I invited him in here today. Mr. Chad Sain.
How you doing, Wayne?
Man, it's glad to have you with us, bro.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. Although I've got to ask a question before we start. I come in and sit down, I looked around for a minute, and I was really kind of in the back of my mind thinking there would be a banana rabbit ding dong.
Well, now, if I'd known April was coming with you, there would have been. I know that's her favorite drink. And
well, and we won't tell you what it is, but if you know,
you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's a great one to take to parties, you know. And, once we have a party, just to have a banana rabbit ding dong. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up here. You're one of the few that have the inside information.
Absolutely. And again, if you know, you know. But you will find out.
Well, I got to ask now. Everybody knows who you are now. But how did you get into beach music? What got you started? Where did you start, man? You've been here forever.
Well, it seems like it.
Yeah, well, you're a big part of the
Well, thank you.
part of history. Tell us how you got there.
Well, you know, my first experience with beach music was around 1976, I think. I was raised in Lincoln, you know.
Yeah.
I live in Kernersville now. But we were at church on a Sunday morning, and some friends of mine, we were all in our late teens, or, mid-teens, and, we were driving and stuff like that. They said, hey, we're going to Carowinds today. It's a beach music concert, and it's like the Embers and the chairman of the board and a couple of them. I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. So we take off down there, and that was really my first real, true beach music experience.
About when was this?
It probably 1976.
Okay.
And from that point on, I was really hooked on the music. And of course, in our high school days there at Lincoln, we would have bands like at our junior senior prom and homecoming dance and stuff like that. There was a little band out of Cherville called the Howell Brothers, and they did a variety of stuff, but they did a lot of beach music.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, we would have them just because of the beach music.
What was their name again?
At our the Howell Brothers.
Okay.
They were out of Cherville, North Carolina. And we always, so from there, of course, went to school at Appalachian, and, this was during the time when beach music really started taking off. I had a lot of friends at Carolina and State, and East Carolina. And we would go down there. Oh my God! It was just beach music. The Lord, that's all we had. So when I graduated from school, I moved to Norfolk, Virginia. Don't even ask me why. Don't even ask me why, because I don't know.
Okay.
Excuse me. I should say for you, Virginia, but Norfolk. That's the only thing I learned about being in Virginia was how to say Norfolk. But there was, I found a couple of little beach music places up there. And when I moved, I wasn't up there about a year and a half or two. Moved back to Greensboro, High Point, and I was like, man, that would be a good hobby as a DJ. Because I had a full-time job and that kind of stuff.
Well, the bands you found up in Norfolk?
In Norfolk.
Were they the same ones that we had down here?
Oh, like the bands was? Yeah, because the Rondales, of course, were from up there, and the Fat Evans band was all that was their area. And of course, they'd have the Embers Entertainers, the other North Carolina bands come through up there as well. So, but you had to search to find it sometimes because this wasn't as prevalent as it was here in the Carolinas.
Okay.
And I said, man, that would be a good hobby. So I started DJing in 1987, and as just a part-time thing to do, just a fun thing to do. And within a year or two, especially in that second year, it was like, wow. I was getting more and more because we were doing weddings and private parties and, just all kinds of stuff. And I was like, dang, this is cool. It was 1 year in the late 80s, early 90s that I was still working full-time. Well, I continued working full-time job through the whole thing, but I played 131 gigs in a year and never missed a day of my regular work.
But, can I ask you something? Yeah. At that time, how was your music recorded? Because you don't have all the digital stuff.
We played records.
That was when you had the
records and albums.
Okay.
Yeah, you had to cue it up on the techniques. It was all. But you really had to think a lot because number one, you had to think what to play. And number two, you had to search around to find it. get it up, get it queued up in that 3.5 to 4 minutes that song playing was. And, things continued on, and I did a little stint with radio. I had the opportunity it was on within High Point 98.3, I think it's WTHP. Guy named Buddy Poole on it, and he said, hey, why don't you do a Sunday afternoon beat show? I said, all right, we'll give it a shot. And I did it for about a year and a half, but when I found that radio was not necessarily my cup of tea, only because I'm used to seeing people and interacting when I'm on stage as a DJ or an MC or whatever. And it was just a very uncomfortable thing for me because I couldn't see. You had phone calls, come in with requests and different stuff like that. But I was like, this just wasn't quite for me. I even tried to put pictures, like a collage of pictures up in front of me in the studio because there's nobody else there. And it still didn't work. So I said, this is not really for me. But during that time that I was on the radio, I don't know if you remember a club called The Guard in Winston-Salem.
Yeah,
started off on Healy Drive and moved to Country Club. I was doing a little remote with that. That's the reason I never knocked the radio thing because it was in downtown Winston for a remote for some festival thing we were having. And Lynn Murray from The Guard come walking by and said, hey, he said, I own The Guard, handed me his cards, I want you to call him.
Yeah.
And I called him the next day or next week. He said, I want you to come play on our band nights at The Guard, which was Thursdays back then.
Okay.
And I stayed there, through the move over to Country Club, and but until it closed, really.
Yeah.
Still doing my private parties and different stuff like that. But that was my real first true experience with the Beach and Shag community and playing, those type things. And then after that, again, this whole time I've always done my private parties, which is what I do mainly. There was a little club in Kernersville after The Garden called the End Zone that opened up. It used to be Cowboys Nightlife, which was huge, in the 80s and 90s.
Heard of them?
Yep. Well, this guy bought it, and he named it the End Zone. It's kind of a sports bar atmosphere, like the End Zone. And he called, he said, hey, I want you to do a beach night on Thursday nights. I said, okay. Started off, and it was me, as a DJ and stuff, and he said, let's do a band one night. I said, up to you. So I called, got him a price on the shakers.
Yeah.
He said, let's do it. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
He had 600 people show up on a Thursday night, and he was just blown away.
What size was it?
It was, the club would probably hold about 800.
Wow.
800. It was a big, it was a country bar, so the dance floor was huge because of there was a lot of two-stepping and line dances and stuff, in the country atmosphere. So
okay, was it him that drew the crowd, or was it you that drew the crowd?
It was the shakers that drew the crowd.
Yeah, good answer.
You want to be honest, but yeah, that's holy cow. So that continued on for a while, and then of course, as pubs go, it ended up not making. But right as that was going off, Thurston Reader and Linda decided to reopen Thursdays. Thursdays one. It was called Thursdays.
Yeah,
it was Thursdays one. Decided to open up a club again and call it Thursdays 2.
Okay.
Which was a little bit bigger, more set up with bands. He's going to have Shaq.
Bigger than 600 to 800 people?
No, he was probably more about 3 to 4.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't quite that big. But he called and he said, hey, I'm going to do, Beach and Shag on blah. He said, I'm going to do bands on Friday nights, and I want you to be the DJ. I was like, man, this is awesome. So I ran that stint with Thursdays 2 until almost time to go. Of course, again, it closed. But again, continued on. But one of the things when I was at the Guard that I started doing, Lynn Murray had a festival called Beach Sunday at the Tanglewood Park.
Okay, yeah.
And he asked me to MC it. Of course, I was DJ and MC, the festival. And I was like, man, I really love this. So that's where the MC part of it started coming into play. And as time went on, I really enjoyed MCing the Ocean Drive Beach Music Festival or Timmy Ray's Oyster Roast, with Ray and myself,
You're active in both of those.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's some of my favorite things. But those type of events, I truly, truly enjoy doing. But I've had some good times. Brian Cruz once, when he was in North Carolina, but he used to boat coastline, and he's in Nashville now. he would book me a lot for private weddings and stuff like that. And he would describe he used a really cool term. He said he's a party DJ that plays beach music.
Well, that's a good description. I like that.
I did too, and I was like,
But tell me something. What is beach music?
Wayne, you could ask 100 people that question, and you would probably get 100 different answers. Some of them would be about the roots, the rhythm and blues roots of the 50s and 60s. Some would be about the dance or the tempo of the song. Some would be about the lifestyle part. It's really hard to describe, but to me personally, it's like feel-good music that you can dance to or listen to. And what I mean by that also incorporates this lifestyle and this community that we have, known as the beach music family. But the feel-good part of it, because there's a lot of people that love it because of the dance. They love it because they like to party to it, which comes into the lifestyle part. And there's some that just like it in general because it feels good. Like my wife, the lovely and talented April. She's not a dancer, but she knows what she likes. And of course, beach music is one thing that she absolutely loves. So, and there's a lot of folks like her.
Oh, yeah.
They just like listening and partying to the music, not necessarily dancing to the music. And there's nothing wrong with either one. I know there's a lot of stigma out there about, it's all about the dance or it's all about the, and that has nothing to do with it. And that's a personal opinion. But together, it's all about a family. It's all about feel-good music that you can dance to or listen to and have a party to.
And therein, what I started it off with. You believe in doing it together, working together, and that's what we need to do in the beach music world. So many of us love the idea of working together, and
absolutely,
it's an individual preference. Do you want to dance or not dance?
Yeah. But that don't mean you're not there to have a good time and party.
Still great music.
Absolutely, all day long.
But I got to ask you now, the CBMAs. Tell me about how you got started in it. I know you've been very instrumental in it for a number of years now.
Well, I've known Curtis and Peter. Curtis first mainly. Of course, met Peter. Because Curtis was on 106.5. The Monster Beach Music Station there in Salisbury, and I'd go by and see him some back in the day, and they let me know they were going to have their first beach music awards. So I went to it. It was in Salisbury, and so. That one I went to, of course, I've started, DJing and playing beach music and involved in a lot of things. But that one, and I've been to every one, by the way. This is going to be 31.
That is awesome.
I've not missed a one.
I don't know anybody else can say that besides maybe Peter.
Well, Peter and Curtis. And believe it or not, there are a few that are out there. But that first show was, it was something.
Yeah.
And when they talk about the length of it, I don't think people just really don't understand. I think it started not long after lunch, 1 or 2 o'clock. And the after party with the Embers started at 9. And the Embers were through before that award show.
I've heard a little about that. Yeah. Tell me a little about it.
But it was cool because, Joe Pope was there. Maurice Williams was there. Clifford Curry was there. I mean, all these folks that we look up to and love. A lot of them are gone now. Dean Perry was there.
They were doing sets.
Well, they did each one did 3 or 4 songs.
Okay.
And of course, there was a lot of change over time. But I swear to God, and it's been there now a lot now. But they must have given away 185 awards. I have no idea what all they were. But that was so cool. To have those folks. I remember Jim Coastline had just really got off the ground. And they had them on there. They were doing 2 songs. I can't remember what. One of them was Cool Me Out, and I can't remember what the other one was. So we're sitting back there in the back. And I think we all knew there was going to be a lot of people there, and there were. But we didn't realize these icons were going to be there.
Yeah.
Jim come by, and he said, man, I'm nervous. I said, just go up there and do you. And do Coastline. And he got up there and he got really comfortable with it. And he knew he had arrived when he saw Joe Pope and Maurice Williams down front jumping up and down and singing the Coastline, Pull Me Out.
Oh, that had to be a great experience.
That's where his ego started.
Confident.
He knows.
Confident.
He knows. He knows.
Oh, hey, we doing well. So
Yeah, absolutely.
but out of all those people that you were naming, who's your favorite?
Man, it would have to be William Bell.
Okay.
But she wasn't there that day. But I've always loved William Bell's music. As far as my favorite artist is probably William Bell.
Well, of all the songs, he's got some great hits. You ever favorite?
Easy coming out, hard going in all day long. Trying to love tunes because I know he's had some great songs.
Oh, yeah.
But I just always, for some reason, I'm just always like, wait.
Absolutely.
Good time.
Well, how do you feel about the transition of where we are now in the CBMA?
Oh, I love it. I like the fact that that, and it's unfortunate that a lot of our true icons have gone on. But look at all the folks that have come in and embraced beach music and are performing with. And I'd start naming names, but I'd leave somebody out. But so many new players and new female, especially on the female side, a lot of female artists coming in and single male artists and groups. We still have our band involved, we still have our members, we still have our coastlines and entertainers, North Power and that stuff. But it's really cool that a lot of these younger bands, like Main Event and the Tones, and those type bands are embracing what we do. A lot of things have changed because they do a lot of private parties and festivals and stuff too. And to appeal to everybody, they're having to play, some of the party hits from the past, but they're often still from the past. And it's still fun music, that feel-good music that you like to listen to, with beach music mixed into it. So I'm really proud that there's so many newer artists coming in, whether they're individuals or bands. That I feel good about it. I really do, and I'm proud of the fact that we even when we moved to the Alabama Theater, of course I think the first one we had here at the beach was at the Crook and Chase Theater. Down there, down here walking all there in Myrtle Beach. The show was still long, and I don't know if it's Peter or Curtis came up with the idea. Said let's split. Let's do a 2-day thing. That's where the industry awards came about. That myself and Ray Scott and Jim Schaefer host, and they asked me to do it, and we took all the radio, DJ awards, producer, engineer, the events, and those type of awards, and it made them a show out of them that we do on Saturday.
And, it's a great show, man.
Oh, people love it because it's there at the Spanish Gay and it's a little more relaxed.
A little more personal.
A little more personal. You can come as you are.
Yeah.
So it gives you two versus the dress up element, that we have at the Alabama Theater, which is great. But a lot of folks really love that Saturday show. I'd have to ask Ray because he's one of those. He keeps up with all this stuff. But I think we started doing that somewhere around the year 2000 or 2001.
Okay.
So about 24 years, him and I have been doing it together. Jim joined us in the last 5 or 6 years. So
it's a great event. It really
is. And I've had, I've been so fortunate. I've had a lot of things some really cool things. I've gotten to do some shows with Chubby Checker. I had 2 unique shows for a SAS Institute over in Raleigh back in, I must have been in the late 90s, early 2000s. They called me to be the DJ and MC for this event. And they said, we're going to be a band, but we can't tell you who it is. We'll tell you who it is that day. I said, okay, that's cool. I figured it was one of our local bands, and I'd probably end up knowing or, working with 100 times. Well, when I get there, the guy said, okay, me, you, and about 3 other people know this. And it was a big party for the SAS Institute execs and those type of things. It was Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And that just blew me away.
Bringing in the natural talent.
Yeah, and then I was just honored that, of all the people they could have asked to come and MC and be the DJ, the same as me. And they asked me back again the next year, and it was Ziggy Marley and the Wailers.
Wow.
But none of the SAS Institute folks knew this.
Yeah.
So that's
such a great surprise to walk in and see a group like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be able to introduce them, that was really cool. But we, there's a lot of stuff I've done. I've done a lot of work, of course, over the years with the surf. As far as being an MC and doing different things like that, and that I really, really appreciate their confidence in me and what we've been able to do.
Like I said, you're iconic. People know who you are now. And we love to know how you got there. What's your favorite story from all these 30 plus years, 40 years.
Well, some of them we can't broadcast.
Okay. Stay within limits then.
Well, you know, I'll be honest with you, and it's going to say it's personal, but and it has to do with beach music, but really it just really has to do with the last 16 years of my life. I was the first cruise. You know, I've done a lot of the cruises.
Oh, yeah.
And still do.
Yeah.
The first cruise I was asked to do was with Ray Scott, and it was when it was the Craig Ward Band, CWB.
Yeah.
Judy Collins, rest her soul, she is the one that put that particular cruise together. And Ray and I were going to be the DJs, and Craig and him were the band. Well, I'd been divorced for a while, and this, that, and the other. And it was one of those things like, yeah, man, this could be great. And then the closer it got to it, it's more like, I really don't want to drive to Tampa, Florida, and I'm just not into this. So, of course, down the road I go, kicking and screaming. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, Brittany, I took her as my guest. So we get down there, we get on the boat, and I'm sitting over there at the little poolside bar. Just, man, I thought I looked at the schedule. I said, oh, anything to do for tomorrow, this is great. Well, I noticed there wasn't none of our people around. And Brittany come by and she said, Dad, are you not heading down to this meet and greet party that they're having? I said, I didn't know anything about it. And she's like, well, if you look, it's right there. Ooh, I missed that. So I take off down there. And Judy Collins met Craig and myself and Ray and other band members with CWB and out in the lobby, and they had these wristbands.
Yeah.
They said, when you check in, we're giving you these wristbands, and I need y'all to wear them, because if y'all don't wear them, our guests aren't going to wear them, but they're really important. You know, it keeps other guests on the boat, you know, because we're not going to get on the boat from coming in to our events.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's good. So I go stand in a little line, walking through, and I stick my arm out. And this little girl, or young lady, I should say, she's like, and you are? Really deflated my ego there for a minute. And I turned around and I looked, and I was like, oh my God, she put this wristband on, checked my name off, and Brittany was behind me, and I looked at my daughter, I said, she's, yeah, I figured, she didn't know. She said, man, I don't know. Come to find out, it was a,
Oh, you're kidding.
that's how I met her. Her first words to me were, and you are?
Well, that's one way of getting introduced. Now she knows who you are. Or she learned who you
I hauled her on that boat. She'd show up at the pizza bar. They say no, I'd show up at the pizza bar. She'd say no, I'd show up. So,
What a
we'll be in
great,
together.
great, what a great story.
Yeah.
I love that. That is fun.
Yeah. In fact, I should have a T-shirt that made it just said, and you are?
And you are.
But yes,
Wow.
yeah, so, yeah, that's a cool story. But yeah, I mean, I've had just a lot of things that I've been really proud to be a part of. You know, TR's Cancer Fighters thing, Tina Ray, Sheila, Jeff, and Donna, they do such an awesome job with that.
Yeah. Oh, they do
And the
great.
money they raise, and it's always a fun event. Being a part of that is special to me. Being a part, of course, of the Ocean Drive Beach Music Festival and the things we do with the surf has made me proud. It's a lot of things that I've just, like I said, I've just been really proud of over the years. That,
Well, being
that
a
I've been
part
able
of the audience in both of those, the festival and Timmy Ray's, we appreciate what you do up there.
Well, thank
You help make it a good event for all of us. You kind of keep us in line, because we were like you were. What's next on the program?
Yeah.
And you always seem to know and being there at the right time.
Well, and we try, and we try.
Quick question, we got our time's about up here.
Okay.
What do you see the future of beach music?
You know, as long as people don't get too caught up in, and I don't want to open up a can of worms, you know, because there are a lot of people out there, you know, the shag music thing, the beach music thing, you know.
Yeah.
And Jackie and Charlie, they have really stepped forward and love. Of course, they've always loved the shag side of it. But they really love this other side of it
Yes,
too.
yeah.
And I even hate to say that there's a line there, because to me there's not. It's all one big thing. But as long as people embrace not only the dance, but the music and what our new artists are doing, trying to do. But by the way, speaking of that, what you and Melissa and Ocean Drive Productions, y'all nailed several of them, but that's so cool. But just, like I said, and that's kind of new to you too, and her, as far as getting into that side of it.
Amen. It is.
I think as long as everybody continues to enjoy it and love each other and just come together for the good of not only the music but the lifestyle and what all this brings us, whether it's an outdoor festival or a shag contest, enjoy it. Amen. Because
Amen.
If not, it's not going to be here. But in my opinion, I don't think it'll ever die.
I'll agree. That's part of what we are trying to do is give it new stuff, give it new life, get younger people in, and I can see that happening more so than I anticipated even 2 years ago. I see growth that was questionable, but being a part of what you've done. As people producing it, we can't do anything if we don't have people to play the music.
That's very true.
It's got to be the DJ's out doing the jobs in the clubs or the DJ's putting on the radio. That's an important part. And and they're like we are. Everybody doesn't like the same thing. And you'll hear guys, well, I like this DJ better than that one, or this DJ, I like this song better than that one. That's individual taste, and that's
absolutely
part of the combining us all together into one. And that's what I started with. You are very much into it, just like I believe, getting beach music people together, working together. We're not in competition. No. We're here to work together, and I believe that every band out there, everybody producing music, we're all doing the same thing together, and we support each other.
Absolutely, and to me, that attitude, if everybody had it, it's endless. It's endless. And Wayne, I really appreciate what you guys do. I appreciate everybody, the opportunities that I've had through the year, and I probably missed some, as we've done this.
We may have to do another one.
But really, anything I've ever done, from hosting the Carolina Beach Music Awards on Saturday to, we mentioned TRs and the festival, and even back in the day, the Tanglewood Festival. It honestly has been a privilege. I had a guy, and I'll leave you with this one. He was the general manager of Catawba Country Club in Hickory.
Okay.
Played a lot of weddings down there. Of course, being from Lincoln, I did play down there a lot, but then it's a popular place for them to have those type of things.
Okay, yeah.
Come pulling in there one day, we've been doing this stuff for a couple of years. And I was like, hey, Stephen, what's up, man? He said, you know us. We're just going to be out here selling fun and making memories. And I was like, whoa. That is what we're doing. Whether it's as a record producer, a band playing a song, recording a song, a DJ playing a song, or a fan just coming out just to enjoy it. What are we doing? We're selling fun and making memories.
I love that. That is one I got to remember. That is a great one to end the podcast. That's one I think everybody out there needs to remember. And thank you so much for being here.
Wayne, I appreciate
Thank you for spending the time, brother. I love hearing your stories. I love knowing where you came from. And I know now why you are the class act that you are.
Well, sometimes some people might say classless. That's the reason the banana rabbit ding dong's up here today. They're going to turn classless very quickly. But thanks again, and we look forward to seeing everybody in November at the award show and all the other events. And thanks again, Wayne.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for watching today's Surfside Stories, and we'll have another one coming to you next week.